Sophie Cunningham has now been fined 4 times this season?
The root of the problem is the officiating is dog shit. Bert and the WNBA actually likes this shit.
So, Sophie Cunningham, it happened again.
It wasn't that long ago that Sophie Cunningham made this little TikTok video. And in said TikTok video, and you can see right here, this was July 23rd, she put this up and said she got fined $500 by the WNBA for criticizing the refs. At one point in this song, she calls the referees useless.
Sophie Cunningham has now been fined 4 times this season. The root of the problem is the officiating is dog, __. Bert in the WNBA actually likes this, __. Caitlin Clark is fuming after the WNBA slapped another fine on Sophie Cunningham. All for speaking the truth. Because apparently in this league, you can elbow the face of the franchise, but you can't talk about it. This is bigger than just a fine. It's a full-blown meltdown. So Sophie Cunningham, it happened again. Sophie Cunningham gets fined for calling out the referees, but this time Caitlin Clark is reportedly furious. Not surprised, not confused, furious. Because how long can this nonsense go on? It wasn't that long ago that Sophie Cunningham made this little TikTok video. And in said TikTok video, and you can see right here, this was July 23rd, she put this up and said she got fined $500 by the WNBA for criticizing the refs. At one point in this song, she calls the referees useless. Let's rewind a little. Sophie made a TikTok where she joked about the refs being useless. That clip alone cost her $500. Harsh, absolutely. But it didn't end there. She has come out. She's been fined again, by the way, by the WNBA because she made comments criticizing when she told them and talked about getting fined for this on her podcast. So this is what she said. If I was a ref, I know I mess up all the time. I'm not saying your job is easy, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sophie then had the audacity of apparently to speak honestly about it on her own podcast. She didn't rage. She didn't disrespect anyone. All she said was something like, if I were a ref I'd mess up too. But when it's a simple call right in front of your face, what are you doing? And for that, the league slapped her with another $1,500 fine. I mean, it's bad. It's real bad. Let's be very clear. This wasn't about protecting professionalism. This was about punishing someone for not playing along. Sophie wasn't loud or reckless. She was honest. She even said reffing is hard, but apparently in the WNBA, acknowledging bad officiating is a crime, especially when you're right. But Sophie Cunningham said, hold my beer. I got a podcast. I got this platform. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to toe the company line to find you again. They're like, I even told them, I even credit them that their job was hard. Now here's the real kicker. Sophie's podcast, Show Me Something, is actually pulling numbers, and that's making things worse. Not for her, but for the league. She's being transparent. She's exposing what's really going on behind the curtain. And the WNBA, they're reacting like they've got something to hide. She even shared how her GM pulled her aside in front of the whole team to tell her about the fine, like she's in middle school. Sophie Con probably made about $7 or $8 grand from that podcast, first podcast. And the irony, that same podcast episode, the one that got her fined, earned her more than $7,000. Not even counting the YouTube ads or clips going viral. So now the league's trying to punish her with these small fines, but all they're doing is growing her platform. Every fine turns into another headline, another viral moment, another bump in podcast traffic. That's not discipline. That's free promotion. That sounds pretty accurate for the WNBA officiating, and fans are loving it. She's becoming the voice people didn't know they needed. While the WNBA is out here finding players for expressing basic opinions, referees continue to miss brutal fouls like the ones thrown at Caitlin Clark all season long. People are starting to ask, rightly so, why words get punished more than actual violence. It's a hilarious thing. I just think it's hilarious. If I'm not mistaken, like all she said was talking about, the refs needed to protect, I'm pretty sure. Was it not for her saying the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark? Caitlin has taken more elbows, cheap shots, and blatant hits than anyone else this year. And how many fines have been handed out for that? Exactly 0. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham says refs should protect the face of the league. And she gets fined for saying that out loud. She literally defended Caitlin and got punished for it. Essentially said the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark, and like Caitlin Clark said, finally someone did it. Like she basically talked about being like the refs need to protect the face of the league. This is what sparked the outrage. Clark knows exactly what Sophie's dealing with because she's the one who's been left on the floor with no whistle. So when Sophie spoke up, Caitlin didn't just support her. She felt seen because it's not just about Sophie. It's about all the players who feel the same way but can't afford to say anything. And here's the twist. Sophie's not even mad. She's laughing her way to the bank. The fines might sting a little, but the exposure worth it. Every time the WNBA fines her, her audience gets bigger, her message gets louder, and people are starting to ask the uncomfortable questions the league doesn't want to answer. Sophie Cunningham also getting fined for what she had to say about the referees. Like, how does calling out inconsistency cost $1,500, but leaving Caitlin Clark lying on the court after a cheap shot costs nothing? Why is Sophie the only one paying the price for telling the truth? Because if we're being honest, the fines aren't about rules, they're about control. And Caitlin Clark, she's had enough. Down and Dana Bonner disappeared like a ghost. Let's talk about Dana Bonner, shall we? Because woo, this one's messier than cafeteria chili on Taco Tuesday. She's talking behind the scenes with her boo. Hey, you going to tell your nah? _. Like it's okay to be professional about it, and like send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, like love you guys. Or you don't even have to say love you guys. Just like, hey, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to handle that. So while the WNBA is out here busy finding Sophie Cunningham for, speaking facts, Dana Bonner quietly dipped out of Indiana like she was in a spy movie. No goodbye, no press release, no wish y'all the best group text. She ghosted the team straight up. Sophie said it best on her podcast. DB disappeared like a ghost. When we say Dana Bonner quit on her team, she literally quit on her team. And get this, none of the players knew what was going on like at all. People were literally walking around the locker room whispering, hey, have you heard from DB? The replies, nope. Then the next day, yo, anyone heard from her yet? Still crickets. One by one, teammates started realizing she wasn't coming back and never planned to tell them. While she was conspiring behind the scenes on how to get out of Indiana, how to take that money and run. Meanwhile, she was still getting paid. You heard that right. While everyone else was busting their tails on the court, Dana Bonner was allegedly planning her exit behind closed doors, cashing those checks, and not saying a single word. She left her teammates in the dark. She left her teammates just like us wondering what the heck is going on. And that silence, it wrecked team morale. This wasn't just a player leaving. It felt like betrayal. And that brings us right back to the league itself. But the team is just as in dark as the fans were. Because while Dana Bonner can vanish mid-season without so much as a post-it note, Sophie Cunningham gets hit with fines for saying words, oh, you thought we were done? Not even close. Let's get into the WNBA's double standards because this part it's got fans fuming. The root of the problem is the officiating is dog. Let that marinate. A player gets fined for asking officials to do their job. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas shoulder checks Clark on national television and nothing. No fine, no warning, not even a fake "we're reviewing the play" statement. Just shrug emoji. The message from the league is crystal clear. You can foul, just don't talk about it. That's not sportsmanship. That's damage control. That's PR 101 for don't make us look bad. If you had a referees that were actually doing their jobs, getting calls correct, and by the way, keeping some kind of law and order in the league, you wouldn't have a player that's having to go on their podcast talking about the officiating blows. There's a petition over the WNBA officiating. How bad it is over Sophie Cunningham getting fined. That is great. And fans, they're done. They're not just annoyed, they're rallying. A petition is circulating to fix WNBA officiating, and within hours, hundreds of fans signed it. There are comment sections flooding with support for Sophie. Man, Sophie Cunningham in this podcast, it's just getting her in trouble, huh? She's not just a player anymore. Sophie's become a movement. They're calling her the fever enforcer. And yes, there's actual merch being sold with that title. T-shirts, hoodies, probably bumper stickers too. And they're selling because fans are putting their money where their mouth is. They're backing the truth teller, not the censorship machine. The WNBA wanted to shut Sophie up. What did they do instead? They made her louder. The tickets for this game, for this All-Star game, they dropped by 50%. And while all this plays out, Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, is sidelined, watching her teammate take hit after hit just for speaking out. She's not just mad about the fines. She's mad because this league claims to support its players, but punishes them for defending each other. At some point, you've got to ask, what are we even doing here?